let's start with Oxygen and DarkZero for our first game. I like this one on paper because of what we talked about for DZ. We need to get into the specifics on OXG, but why don't we just dive a little bit more into what gave DarkZero that second win, specifically one or two players that we wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I think the main player who really popped off and somebody who I was hoping would was Rice. Rice came in for DarkZero on that second map and had a fantastic time. These are just his stats for the second game that they played against Mirage on Chalet. I really loved how he was not only getting aggressive and finding those picks, but he was really patient in a lot of times too. He was outside the building waiting for some swings, understanding that, you know what, these kind of young players that Mirage have, they're gonna start swinging, they're gonna wander into my crosshair, and if I'm playing smart, I'm gonna be able to find those picks. That's exactly what Rice did yesterday on Chalet. It gave him that 2.0 clean KD ratio, and he is looking so good on DZ so far.
And this is to any of those Rice haters. I mean, you were questioning DZ on picking him up. Look at these stats right here. It speaks for itself. It speaks for why DZ picked him up. And like you were saying, you know, he performed well above and beyond. And for me, again, as a player, seeing these new players come in and everything, it's so important that you see these players start out strong really early and get a really good grasp at what the Pro League feels like.
Every time DarkZero adds a player to the team, historically, there's been a big learning process or a time where DZ is mid-pack for a while before making their actual bid to get all the way up to the top. But we'd like to see DZ break that trend a little bit. But is Rice the kind of player, Lax, in your opinion, that can help them shoot right up and be a top contender immediately? Or does this still probably need a little bit more time to cook?
I think, truthfully, it is going to be a little bit of time. But obviously, he is starting out strong, which is a huge advantage for DZ nonetheless. But regardless of that, it's the fact that the players that he's around, the caliber of players that he's with, that is what's really going to excel him to also become even a more outstanding player than we might already be.
Yeah, that's very true. On the opposite side, there was another really good performer, but it's not a rookie. Somebody who's been doing this for a long time, somebody who you'd also teamed with for a long time. So I want to give you the floor, specifically when we talk about Foxay for OXG. He was the top performer after the whole first day. He only had one map to play. Fish was right below him, which is honestly fantastic. But just specifically, why don't we talk about what Foxay did in their first game from yesterday?
Yeah, and like, you know, when we look at Fox's stats in general, I mean, he's the IGL, right? You know, he's the one that's laying down the foundation. He's the one that's giving everyone the vision to get to where they need to, and then obviously you have Dream taking it late round. But again, I want to focus on Fox here with the giving the foundation, setting the pace for the game, and he's the one that's coming out on top of the leaderboard while leading the team. That is just the cherry on top when your IGL is the one that's doing everything in the game. And then you look at that cost. That cost alone pretty much shows that he was doing everything perfect throughout that game.
Yeah, what I was really excited to see from Fox yesterday was that he was really nailing down his positioning. When I watched Auction Esports way back on Gamers Day, it felt like there were a couple of games early versus BDS in that tournament where Fox was just disconnected from his team, off doing his own thing, out of position, dying and not having the ability to be traded or anything like that. What we saw yesterday was Fox right there with the team, being able to position himself well, and he looked so good in that aspect.
I just want to add one more thing to that. Obviously, playing with Fox as long as I have, whether you see Fox at the top, middle of the pack, or never, I'd say he's rarely at the bottom. Fox is such a key piece for that team in terms of just his communication and presence. So wherever you see Fox, just know he plays such a big factor in that team's success.
I think Oxygen are very much off to the right foot. DarkZero had that stumble earlier against M80, and if M80 is the one team that we said is going to start high and stay high, for DZ to lose to them isn't nearly as bad. But again, that win against Mirage does give me hope that Foxay and OXG are going to have a bit of a taller task ahead of them. But I'm getting word that something is about to happen for the first time, technically ever, because it hasn't happened in any other region yet. Do you want to guess what that is?
Is DarkZero forfeiting?
Have they ever forfeited?
Have they gotten scared and have quit against the might of Foxay and Fish?
I mean, they might have. They might have. That might be anything that's about to happen. Lax, any guesses? Unprecedented for the first time in Siege history?
I mean, I don't know, to be honest. That's a lot of things that could happen. Right. I mean, are we getting free team skins on the desk? Like, I mean, that's brand new. I mean, those things are important to show up.
Free
is that
skins?
it? Was I close?
No, you weren't close. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, that's a bummer.
We're playing a brand new map. And it's not coming from any other region. It's not coming from Asia, where typically things get retooled over and over again and like gets taken up by the bigger regions and acted as though, oh, we came up with this strat forever ago. No, for the first time in competitive Rainbow Six history, Nighthaven Labs is being played in a best of anything. So We were looking to see if Ram might get played, maybe new consulate, and we were wondering when North America would finally decide to try something new. It looks like the answer for at least this best of one is right now. DZ and OXG have Nighthaven Labs up on deck.
Okay, that's a little bit surprising to me because DarkZero have been banning labs a lot recently. You look back at even Breaking Point and yesterday in the tournament, it wasn't 100%, but I think it's only one map throughout the last couple of weeks that they have not banned Nighthaven Labs. So I wonder if this is going to catch OXG off guard a little bit if DarkZero are now bringing this out. It feels like a map that maybe they were saving for an opponent who's worthy enough and who they really wanted to surprise.
I mean, I want to focus on OXG right here, getting Nighthaven, because, you know, we talked about it yesterday in the breakdown of the map. Nighthaven kind of feels like a consulate and a mix of a clubhouse. And truthfully, being on the team, knowing Oxygen is really good at clubhouse, and at the time, way back then, they loved consulate, or we loved consulate. So truthfully, I'm curious to see, more importantly, how Oxygen is going to play this map, given that in like theory, that those were two really good maps for them, and this map almost feels identical to both of those.
I really don't know if we can predict a winner for this thing, because we could look at OXG having a good day and DarkZero only being 1 for 2 yesterday and say maybe Oxygen's the better team. Instead, we just have a brand new battleground that we have to figure out, like how it plays from top all the way down to bottom. The time is now to figure out exactly how Nighthaven Labs is going to play in competitive Rainbow Six. And as much as I love a new map being played, I don't envy the casters who have to do this for the very first time. It'll be Samuel Stokes-Stewart and Carter Lynx-Hannafel with the call.
Now, did Jacob say he did or didn't envy me? Because I can say, from my own point of view, I am more than excited to cast the first bit of Nighthaven Labs in competitive Rainbow Six. Now, maps aren't always popular, Sam, when they first get added. I mean, Emerald Plains, very controversial. New Consulate, even a little controversial. This is one of the few maps in a long time where the reception, maybe not immediately, but pretty soon after, was very positive and well received by the community.
Yeah, I'd say almost on all fronts. You know, the pub's never going to really be a great representation of what people are truthfully thinking about maps, right? You know, they're always going to ban those out whenever it comes to, because nobody really wants to try and learn something new. But from a competitive standpoint, I think this map can stand the test of time, and I'm really excited to see what these teams kind of have meandering around this map. You know what I mean? Different ideas are always going to present themselves, and I mean, even throughout the history of Siege, right? Even with maps that haven't been touched in a very, very long time, we've seen adaptations. We've seen big changes just with different operators and stuff being brought to the table. So it's going to be really cool just to have a fresh chapter here for Rainbow Six on a blank map that no one's really been able to see in the public competitive eye before. Just to see what they have for ideas and see how it kind of compares to the rest of the world. So it's going to be DarkZero and Oxygen as well, which, I mean, could you really get any better when it comes to structure amongst teams here in North America to, you know, really give the full test of Nighthaven Labs?
Also, well, not only structure, but also just in some of the caliber of player that we have on both these teams. I mean, Newer's on one side, Pambazoo on the other, Rice also having a fantastic day yesterday. Some of the best individual talent in North America will be showcased on the debut of Nighthaven Labs in pro play. Not only that, wow, doubleheader, first Ram ban in Nighthaven. Now, we heard some of the pro players talk about how Ram on specifically Nighthaven and Consulate might be very powerful, but I have to say, Sam, a ban first debut on Nighthaven, that's pretty surprising to me.
You know, I think the key thing here is that might tell you actually just how strong of a pick Ram is on, you know, Nighthaven, because it's DarkZero, right? They're always calculated in these bans. They're never going to just like spot check something that's just really random. They'd much rather just take something that's high value. And really, that's just telling you right now what Ram can potentially do on this map. And really what you're thinking here is, what can she do inside of Kitchen if you're playing downstairs, right? Like, there's so much soft destruction around that area, over in like the storage area as well, that she can kind of rip up. And that's probably going to be the main focus when we're on that downstairs site. You're probably going to see Buck, Sledge, some of the more of the softer structures, maybe some breaching charges and stuff get slapped down on that floor. But just a key note there, because remember, Ram is all about being able to rip up a lot of, you know, soft flooring, soft destruction, all at one time from a remote location. So could be a pretty cool idea for her down the line, but we'll just have to see. We'll also just have to see how long it's going to take for us to get into this first round, as I do believe we'll have DarkZero resetting here.
Well, that's actually fine. There is one thing that I wanted to focus on real quick, and that is the lack of a Solus ban and likely the presence of the Solus in this upcoming matchup, given the amount of soft floors on Nighthaven Labs that you just talked about as a reason why Ram was banned. That's the very same reason why operators like Solus or utility like secondary C4s are likely going to be very powerful. Sure, it's a big map, maybe hard holding one spot on the map to play vertical isn't going to be the play if you're running Solus, but if you have an attacking team who's executing with 30 seconds left, trying to get a plant inside a CC on the second floor, having a Solus down below could be extremely powerful. But moreover, Solus is also one of DarkZero's favorite defensive operators to play when she's left up, and specifically one of Canadian's favorite operators to play. If somebody on DarkZero is playing that Solus, it's usually Canadian. So while DarkZero is starting on the attack, I definitely think it's a bold play by OXG to leave that operator up and also leave it in the hands of DarkZero, who love that character.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a natural extension for Canadian as well, though, right? Because, he's been playing the Pulse for so very long, and Solus is kind of a different version of Pulse. You're not looking for people, you're looking for electronics, but that can also lead to seeing people as well if they have their phone in their pocket, or, if Doke's, doing something, or rather different interactions are happening with the offensive electronics and things like that that make it where Solus can see them. But it's just a really, really strong thing, like you were saying, for maps like this. And that's just what this map kind of feels like, right? It feels like you're going to have a lot of interactions in between floors. It's kind of built up on top of itself, and that's always been very exciting. It's always been my preferred structure for maps in Rainbow Six. I'm a big fan of things like Cafe, Clubhouse, a Consulate, things like that, where there's a lot of traversing more vertically than there is horizontally. So excited to have this one thrown into the pool and really see what can happen with all these different ideas that are being presented.
But also some of the kind of old ideas. I mean, we've talked about the comparisons between Clubhouse and Consulate, and nowhere is that a bigger focus than I think inside of the garage. With aside from that, like there's one wide pillar in the middle, but aside from that, that position plays almost identically to the Clubhouse garage.
Almost more aggressively so as well, because you have that door on top with the rafter as well.
True.
It's like direct access to the outside. So it's almost like you have that coin flip there, and you really need to kind of bring somebody like a zombie or something where you can kind of structure up around that. So that's what I'm really excited about, is just to see how the defense kind of sets up things like there are zombies, their deployable shields, things along those lines.
Though, of course, if you aren't familiar with some of the site selection on Nighthaven Labs either, we've been talking a lot about, the garage, the second floor bomb site. We'll also likely see a lot of that basement bomb site as well, and that's probably the site where we'll see some of the most roaming on this map. But there's usually about 3 viable bomb sites on Nighthaven, and some people debate about how viable Kitchen Cafe is. Some think it's playable, some think it's not, but most seem to agree that that is the least good bomb site on Nighthaven Labs. So the likely site rotation we'll see is some combination of second floor and basement first, and then storage as a likely second, and then kitchen and cafe will probably be the unfortunate kind of ugly duckling that gets left by the wayside as the defense tries to play on Nighthaven.
Yeah, the kitchen site's just kind of unfortunate, I think, as of right now. Obviously, we have zero record of anything on this map, but just the vibe of it, right? The feel of it. It feels like a site that is almost similar to the kitchen site on Coastline, but it's also got so many other options for other sites that are just much better than having to play into that with that verticality, that direct access window. I feel like the whole kitchen setup in there is really complex with that direct access window and meeting directly above it. And then you have not freezer, but what do they call it? Pantry right attached to that as well. Just that entire area feels like it can get really muddy very quick. And yeah, I personally would much rather just avoid it entirely and just try and figure out everything else about that map rather than trying to go to that site early on.
I mean, if there were a better time to innovator showcase things, you could argue it's right now, but by the same token, like you said, things can get messy on that bomb site. Things can get messy on a new map in general. Probably best that, especially not only on your team's game day debut on Nighthaven Labs, but in the debut for Nighthaven inside of the leagues in general, best to err on the side of caution. Just go with what you practice, maybe innovate a little in some of the individual plays, but don't try and, reinvent the wheel before we've even gotten on the road, so to speak.
Exactly. And I mean, With what we saw yesterday, especially for you and me, I mean, 3 7-2s in a row to kick us off, but very interesting 7-2s, even for DarkZero, you know, I mean, some things that we didn't exactly expect. And I think we can, again, say that about a lot of things from yesterday. But fortunately enough, we don't have to continue harping on yesterday. We can get on to day 2 finally and get on to Nighthaven Labs. It's going to be a Monty band first, and they have to follow through with all the same bands. So Ram should be here as well. Yeah, all right, cool.
Funny
just
if they
making sure. We're just making sure.
Would it be funny if they just didn't do the same bands and we had to rehost again? Like, what?
You never know. You never know with these people, all right?
Listen, it's only 3 p.m. You know, if you're Pacific, it's noon. There's enough time for some crazy stuff to happen. Just, you know, throw a wrench into our day. But thankfully, they won't do that. And again, the follow-up defensive bands that we'll have will have Azami banned by DarkZero, and then followed up with the Fenrir ban by OXG, which I talked about the lack of a Solus ban earlier. I still think the Azami and the Fenrir bans are perfectly sensible and very good in general, but also on Nighthaven Labs. But given the fact that we only have just 2 bans per side in the current competitive settings, some operators are going to slip through, and it just so happens in this case, one very powerful operator, Solus, will be in play for OXG to start out. And now we also, given our discussion of the site selection, Sam, get to see which site they decide to go with first. And it appears it won't be the second floor or the basement like I hypothesized, but storage, still one of the bomb sites that many teams seem to like more than kitchen and cafe.
Storage control room to start it off. I'm excited about this one because there's some interesting angles that you can hold upstairs and just some, you know, different access to doorways and stuff like that through soft destruction. So excited to see what Oxygen wants to do with this. And before we get in, you know, too deep for round 1 here, Link. So I did want to touch on this because yesterday, fantastic day for Oxygen, right? And to really highlight that is the fact that 4 out of the 5 top players currently inside of North America, 4 of those slots are taken up by Oxygen, topped out by Foxay at a 1.61. +6 yesterday, played fantastic, cost of 100%. And the best part, I think, about his play style yesterday was he was so solid the entire time. Never overplayed his hand, never was in a mispositioned area. It looked so good for a day 1 bout.
And he wasn't maybe getting a lot of those entries, but whenever he was getting those kills, it always felt like a natural progression from an entry like Newers or Yaga. He was getting like 1 or 2 kills in the mid-round that took an advantage gained by another player and then converting it into a successful transition into an execute. That play, those individual performances, and of the team as well, will also become especially important today because while, you know, they got a 7-2 victory yesterday and some very nice stats, it was against Beast Coast, who, depending on how they play today, might end up being one of the weaker teams inside of the NAL. But now they're playing DarkZero, who are undisputably an extremely proficient team, and then M80 later, who beat DarkZero yesterday. So if they can mount a similar performance today, even if the scoreline is 7-4, 7-5, and a lot closer than that Beast Coast game, if they can replicate that play that we saw in that Beast Coast game yesterday, Oxygen will look like a really big threat inside of the NAL.
Well, progressing to the top floor now for DarkZero. Not too much going on, just what we would typically expect for DZ when it comes to their maps, trying to clear things out information-wise and then try and figure out where they want to address things. And it's going to start off with the IT breach. Actually, what a lot of people expected for the top floor to kind of be the main ordeal or the starting point for a lot of the offense around this area. A good little find here for Oxygen, and this is the beauty of a new map, folks. You're going to be able to get away with a lot of little cheeky spots, especially early on with a lot of these black eye cams and other things. You're getting caught off guard in behind server, ends up getting gunned down, but Newers, it's been caught off guard actually as well as he'll swing back around onto Rice, but Rice actually ends up figuring it out. Newers knew he had a couple in the area, but not able to secure any kills.
Outstanding individual performance by Rice at the beginning of that round, following up and building off of his incredible, not debut performance, but the performance he had in the second game DarkZero played against Mirage yesterday, dropping double digits and now the only player in the lobby with kills so far. Dream also on OXG, down to below half HP, likely around a quarter, all very damaged. And the top floor roam, very expeditiously dismantled by Oxygen, losing that Solus as the first pick as well. So before even the rest of the kills and the damage transpired, that Specchio scanner no longer a factor for the remainder of this round. 30 seconds to go. DarkZero convert down to the bottom floor, but 2 kills go OXG's way, not 3. Instead, it's DarkZero to rack up that 3rd skull around their neck. Rice might be on low HP, but DarkZero still have this lead. Foxy trying to hold control of storage to the best of his ability, but 3 different attackers all converging upon his position. Dream now knocked off the board. Just 1 bullet will do Foxy in and get DarkZero the first attacking victory on Nighthaven Labs inside a Rainbow Six.
3 for Rice and 2 for Pambazoo. Executed perfectly from DarkZero on the clear. Caught Oxygen completely off guard, especially for Yaga's sake. He's just out in open water and server off the swing from Gen. The blow from IT as well, I think, really kind of just set tone for what they wanted to do with that top floor. It made it to where they kind of had to respect quite a few different angles all at the same time, and made it to where there was just so many different things going on that, you know, just having him as well as Newers in the area really wasn't feasible to kind of remedy the whole situation that DarkZero was presenting them, especially for Rice's situation. I mean, it was kind of a one-man army thing going for him, and he was able to get through it pretty easily.
After losing that bout on storage, Oxygen will now move up to that second floor bomb site, which we saw a lot of play in on the previous round, though
Attackers have located a bomb.
as expertly illustrated by Sam, mostly going DarkZero, specifically Rice's way. And getting a 5v3 very early on. OXG will have to station a lot more of their resources up here. One of those will be the Clash, now held by Dream, the Legion, given over to Foxy instead, who is also taking up the mantle of the Warden. Likely will be a lethal player inside of the bomb site. Not too many smoke canisters or Ying Candelos on the side of DarkZero, but they do have a set of flashes. I still have a feeling, though, the main threat will be the MPX 1.5 and not necessarily the glasses held by Newers.
They got him in the prime position. Connector, at least with the flow of the map, seems to be the initial hot spot that offenses tend to want to try and lean towards. Work on that wall as well as IT, like we touched on previously. Vini, a little worried about somebody swinging up the meeting hallway, but he's fighting ghosts right now for that default cam. Speaking of cams, going to get a couple extra cams in here, and NJR's cam will meet its fate, but he'll at least be able to identify 2 inside of cons as well as that shield. We're going to have the bandit here, so the bandit trick might start going off, but oh, Yog's not close enough, and with Selma's going down as well as that exothermic charge links, that's going to make it a little bit too complicated for him to try and break that up.
But now the bulk of the fight will be this breach that we now see Newer is using a pocket reinforcement on to cover up the rotate hole. We saw this not only in obviously round 2 that we just saw, but on the last round as well for the extension. Likely going to be a focal point and a consistent strategy for holding this top floor. Be to force the attack to spend about a minute 15 opening up the terrace breach that we saw Gavini and NGR do earlier, but then force them to spend more time, hopefully more than a minute, to open up the IT breach and the interior CC connector breach overall. First kill going DarkZero's way again now. Pambazoo cutting down Foxy from below.
That's a little fine for him. Foxy could have just been on the roam or really knowing what was going on there on the mid floor, but either way, it ends up with his demise. And that breach will be open. Nectar area really feeling like the elbow there for Oregon down low with that back off, huh? Yaga as well actually going to end up getting Gavini. That's going to be a nice pick there too. He's actually going to end up taking down the ace.
That's relief garage pressure as well with the upside down rappelling on that breach. Here's maybe discovering that one, gonna have to back off. Thankfully, the Doc on board to bring him back to full HP. Dream also in a perpetual position just to move around the map, catch some of these angles. Pambazoo catching a couple hands, but easily mounts a good defense. All the kills flying DZ's way. The only one on OXG with any tally is Yaga, and it's all impactless by the end. DZ now stringed together 2 in a row. OXG's defenses so far not up to task.
Loving the energy from DarkZero, and I'm really liking the setup from them as well. And it makes total sense for what we usually see out of DZ. I know I said a lot about this team, but they're just bread and butter pacing shows through every single map, and that's exactly what we get. They set up the kill box, they set up every single person right at the gates of the site, and then what do, Lynx? They have Pambazoo enter the back door and try and kill everybody, and then once he gets the first pick, everybody gets active. It's what we see all the time with DZ because it's a beautiful setup. It's one of the best ways to try and play Siege, get everybody distracted, get them really strung out to where they have so many different things going on that if one thing isn't checked properly at one moment in time, the whole domino effect starts. And that's what DZ got to happen inside of that round. They were easily able to get some picks off onto Oxygen, and it made that round, especially the closing of it, very easy for DZ.
I also wouldn't be shocked if that strat from DZ becomes kind of close to the theory or the default that we end up seeing, you know, develop on Nighthaven
feels
over
like
the next
it, right?
3 to 6 months. Because, you know, like we saw, when you open up the IT breach, open up the terrace breach, the interior CC breach, but then you don't necessarily push forward, because if you walk through any of those, you know, subsequent doorways, you're exposing yourself to a lot of angles. It's hard to kind of isolate 1v1s. But if you have a player, whether it's Panbazoo or Newers, or if you're a team that just has kind of a go-to fragger, they rotate over to Aqua Stairs, which can't really facilitate an entire push, but certainly can have someone lurking late round while the rest of the defense is focused on the front, to then apply some pressure and hopefully get a kill or two. So overall, just a very tactically sound attack from DarkZero, and with 2 on the board so far, they're looking to get a flawless rotation, now attacking basement.
And I think it gets scarier and scarier the more setup defenses get on that top floor as well, because the more positions are known naturally, the more frag grenades will work from beneath. And that's when things get really terrifying, right? So we'll have to see how that kind of perpetuates itself here in the future of stage 2. But as of right now, I don't think we're going to see it too much. Definitely going to happen from time to time, but not going to be the most natural thing for people as of now.
Gavini just spotting some Valkyrie and default cameras and other electronics on that top floor.
Oh, right.
Oh, this little Maverick trick we see on the right side of the wall. Rice, by the way, 4-0 so far. Only other person with kills on DarkZero is Panbazoo at 6-0. 2 players is getting the job done with the entirety of DarkZero, at least in the kill department. Rice also with that hard breaching important down below. The roam so far for OXG has definitely not been the star of the show. It's been something they've put forth, but something that DarkZero has not been phased by whatsoever. Yaga 2 got both the kills for OXG last round. If he wants to hold out on this top floor, thankfully there's nobody in his way. Instead, it's all middle floor presence right now for DZ.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Oh,
What?
oh, Foxy!
Oh,
Where did he come from? The side window here for barrels, I believe? Yeah, he jumped out of storage and gets 2. They're both on his phone, and that's the power of Solus. He's able to see them both through the wall because they're actively using electronics.
I mean, Sam, that's a play that honestly, I think that once teams just get more used to the map, that's something they'll have in the back of their mind, that window is just around the corner. Something they won't get tripped up by again, but on a map's debut, those are the kinds of plays you can rely on for OXG. Rice, of course, 4-1, now down. Panbazoo, the other player with kills, has got to step up to the plate, but OXG finally get their first defense.
I mean, solid find from Fox. That's really all I got to say.
Oh, yeah.
That's what set tone there, and there was really nothing that DarkZero could do past that moment to try and fight back. I know the exact words that were said from Canadian when that happened. He was like, "There's no Claymore in that window." It's like, oh, that's unfortunate. Well, we'll get that one next time.
and then you have Gav go, "There's a window there?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh man,
Attackers have dropped the
so
bomb
unlucky. That was a hell of a cam right there too. Just seeing them both die from practically off screen. It's like, what is happening here? Do they both get drone hold? Like, where is this coming from? But great find there once again from Foxy to pick up Oxygen's very first round. And that's going to be the basement locked up now, though. So that means that they have to head back to the top floor or the mid floor to see what they want to go with. It looks like they're going to head back to control here, see if they can hold on to the building here.
I certainly think as well, we'll just need...
10
Oh,
seconds
I'm not on OXG. OXG will need to just hold their positions a little bit longer, because all DZ really had was just walking in, taking gunfights. But it was very linear. Nobody rotating and pushing from Aqua Stairs like we saw Panbazoo do when he was attacking CC in round 2. It was all very one-dimensional. So if OXG maybe hold their positions, but then back up a little bit, anticipate that DarkZero are going to get aggressive and take some gunfights, I think they should see more success, because DarkZero's take, it was very, very constricted with what they decided to take.
I think the best thing about that entire play that we saw out of Fox was just his recognition that DarkZero were going to take their time with trying to clear everything with drones. And it's like, well, what happens if I see somebody outside? So, you know, always got to try and keep an open mind to those kind of things. And you can see Canadian very well aware that there is a window there now. He's going to pop that open. And actually, he's going to be rocking or be having Grim now. So see if he can use a couple of these to their fullest effect. Absolutely love the changes that we saw to Grim recently with the blooms getting a little bit bigger.
So far, only focus from the IT side for DarkZero so far. No rotations over to Terrace, over to Aqua. This is the expected start that we should often expect, and at this point, so far in the match, expect from DarkZero on Nighthaven. Everybody just waiting. This is sort of the point where if you're a viewer of Rainbow Six, you're like, okay, everyone's standing still, but it's not just passivity. There's something going on. Somebody's cooking something, and with the Candelas now flying on in, this might just be it. Oh, but in between flashes, Foxy spots Panbazoo, downs him on the floor. It's still opening pick for DarkZero as NJR reaps 2 souls inside of storage. The advantage maintained. Triple for NJR. Excellent C4 from Fish to keep the round alive. This is a very winnable 2v2 as well. NJR on very, very low HP after that triple. It took a lot of effort, a lot of willpower just to finish the job. Gavini also no kills so far, but able to consolidate with NJR inside a garage. Fish now retaking the top floor, taking advantage of the small lapse in action and the gathering of intel by DarkZero. But NJR anticipates this, holding the rotation into garage. He knows, he's watching. He doesn't win the fight. Now down he goes. As Fish can rotate back to the site. No C4, sure, but he's got intel on Gavini's position. No, he's running over to storage and still has it inside of the site. This is a very, very winnable 1v2 despite the reduced HP. Hard pings for info, but no bullets to land. DarkZero move up 3-1.
Wow. Not exactly what you expected when 3 people hopped inside of storage, but it's what we got there for that round. And as always with DarkZero, there's another layer to this. It's not just the 3 people hopping in, is it? We have Gavini as well as another over on the opposite side of the map, working things in, trying to keep control of the top floor. You have NJR trying to get this cutoff rotation, but it's really up to Foxy as well as Fish that shut down the initial part of this, and just an unlucky one-on-one duel here for Fish. I think he did a fantastic job of working out the situation, but sometimes, man, the shots just don't go your way, and that's going to be the round there for DarkZero. But a valiant effort for OXG, because DarkZero were trying to strong-arm them inside of storage so badly, and just to get it down to where it's a situation where it's just, you know, that one-on-one engagement, not exactly something you saw happening inside of those opening moments.
Strong arm is an excellent way just to describe DarkZero so far. The only round going OXG's way was round 3 that started with Foxy hopping out a window and getting not only the opening pick, but a second one in the exact same spray. Since then, DarkZero have had a firm grasp on the rounds and a firm grasp on those opening duels. Even with Fish having a very good shot at closing out round 4, once DarkZero get that first bit of control and get that first pick, it has been a very natural conversion afterwards for the majority of their attacks. Oxygen will move away from the bandit tricking, maybe as a result just to front load a lot more time denial or time wasting and force DarkZero to take a lot more of their round and dedicate a lot more to their resources at the beginning of the round to opening these breaches.
I really like this. I like that they also brought the Mozzie along as well, try and deal a little extra damage to the info game and get some on your side too if you can. And really, I think this is just strong because if you can get DarkZero to delay and get them down to one of those 15-second executes, that's when they don't really have time to kind of recoup if things go wrong, right? That's when you can really exploit DarkZero's type of play style. So we'll see if Oxygen can try and delay things down with this type of strategy. I like that they brought the Electro Claws like you were touching on here for Connector. I don't know how well it's going to play out up against Gavini though, because it looks like they're going to go for the same strategy that they did the last time, the EMP out. That should handle the Electro Claw, and the Selma's already downlinked. So that situation already dealt with by DZ as they're going to pass with flying colors.
Now, and the issue is too as well, trying to use the hard breaching or use the hard breach denial as a way to waste DZ's time. They got the Thatcher being brought consistently by DarkZero, the Ace and the Thermite, as you mentioned. They have plenty of ways to destroy any of those Electro Claws and then open up the wall afterwards. But now Oxygen have made a call in the round to change things up from before. You see they have a reinforcement in pocket, but they're not closing off that wall to the left of the mirror window. They're leaving it solid to try and play off of. They might use the C4. Maybe? No, I thought they were going to use it to destroy the Selma charge on the opposite side of the wall, but they'll let it detonate. That destroys the mirror window and give DarkZero not just one, but 2 different angles with which they can look inside a CC. Rice looking for the opener, though. Instead, it's Panbazoo to start things off on the right foot. Get the second 2 to solidify DarkZero's advantage. Oxygen consistently mount a good fight. Once that kill goes DarkZero's way, the 3v2, the 2v1, it just seems so natural. It comes so easily to them. They've hollowed out the site, now will plant their flag inside a CC. Despite the wall being soft, Dream had an option to deny that plant, but with no intel, unfortunately, he was gambling, and the second roll of the dice just comes up his way. But the bomb is already down. The defuse needs to happen within the next 23 seconds or so. Foxy might have to be the man to get these kills. One man inside IT. Dream now down. He doesn't even check the right angle. DarkZero still looking so superb on Nighthaven Labs.
You have to feel for Oxygen on that one. DarkZero, a literal one step ahead of them in that situation there, Lynx. They needed the impacts to be over on the Mira, and that was it. If they had them there, they could have just stopped that whole situation from going down. But I will say this. I really do respect them for choosing to fight when they did. As soon as that Mira window broke, there was really no chance of them getting out of that situation alive. So you might as well just try and take your fight, see if you can win out those engagements. And it kind of went their way initially until DarkZero were able to get their advantages back on some of these angles and really force OXG out of the site completely. Everybody's forced over towards blue stairs. You know, Foxy's forced to try and regress and try and reassess things over from the warehouse side of things. And DarkZero just have every single facet point locked down at that point, and the plant already going. So practically an impossible situation presented to Oxygen yet again here, as DarkZero are shutting things out on offense.
Shutting things down every single turn, beginning, middle, late. Always able to come up the victor in any given situation. Even if it's just by a one-body lead, still just doing extremely well at holding on to control of these rounds. I also just want to highlight the addition of Rice once again, because we saw his huge performance yesterday, but it was a very middling performance followed up by an insane performance. But all on the first day, it's hard to decide, okay, which one is which. And he might only be 4-3 so far, but he's still consistently been at least doing damage or taking fights or getting kills when they go to hit the site and execute into a specific room or on a specific clear. Sure, Panbazoo's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, 8-3 right now, and you expect him to get those kills, but I think the change from Achieve to Rice is now showing in this OXG game, in addition to their game against Mirage yesterday, that it's really paying off, that they have someone who is so consistently in these first two play days, helping Panbazoo and NJR and Gavini, who you think would be more aggressive and mechanically skilled players, to get DZ those advantages.
See if I can get it done now. AZ is going to start things off downstairs, blowing up a couple of the side panels here from the delivery end of things. In through Animus. Get that whole background there for you guys. Get any Assassin's Creed fans in the chat.
Shout out.
Shout out, my boys. Shout out my boy Ezio. Ezio better be your favorite. Oh my God.
Attackers have recovered.
Newer's they just pulled up and they said, run the ones, New.
Unfortunately, gotta hit the combine after that one. Gabini's just taking control of site. Look at this. He's made his way into B. Not the man with the diffuser, though. That's Panbazoo. Odd they gave the man with 81 bullets, Candelas, and 9 kills the diffuser, but you know what? They've acquired a 4v3. Panbazoo will surely get one before the bomb goes down. No, he'll detonate that Candela, start putting the bomb directly in this corner. I mean, why bother going for anything more? I was about to say DarkZero have all their angles covered, but Fox is able to shut down the diffuser and drop it stone cold on the floor. Rice now falling as well. This is the closest OXG have come to a round victory since round number 3, but it will still be in a post plant, as nobody can replicate Fox's efforts at shutting the bomb down. Dream doesn't have that mirror window anymore, unfortunately, or I just have to play off it, go for the retake. Yaga's also backed out, has to take the fight with the player inside of X. Oh, the shield in his way. Gotta shoot those feet, land the shots on the big toes, my friend. But it won't work out. Gavini now ADSs, but he's one bullet away from death. It might very well all fall up to NJR momentarily, and indeed it will. He picks up one. Will the second immediately follow? Backing off to play those flashes. This is a man who knows how to play these 1v1s. He knows how to play his pawn end games. 5-1 for DarkZero. Definitely extremely proficient on Nighthaven. I think we can all agree at this point.
Man, I love it when Canadian plays the London system, let me tell you. It's pretty fantastic. Nah, DarkZero, you can see the smile on Canadian's face. That offensive side encapsulated with that photo, I think, Lynx. Beautiful. Through and through, just absolutely beautiful. Exactly what you want out the gates. Every single site they handled with cadence and just very diligently. Handled it as a team. They didn't overplay anything. I think that you can be extremely happy at the end of the day with how these offensive rounds went.
Very excellent. And also, with a map that is still very much in development, still very much, yet to see, is it defender-sided, attacker-sided, DarkZero have the opportunity not to really decide any of those questions, but set firmly that this is a map you need to ban against them. And sure, they'll get, 3 points if they win this in regulation. It'll boost their round differential by a certain amount. But by getting these next 2 rounds or beating OXG at a 7-2 scoreline, this is putting in the minds of their future opponents that they cannot bring DZ to Nighthaven, and that means that DZ can fall on some of the more traditional elements of their map pool while keeping Nighthaven, a map that many teams haven't figured out just yet, as something they can bring out later on down the line in important matches, as a map that they can reliably perform on and that teams are very scared of their performance on if they can land this as like a 7-1 or a 7-2.
It's such a good idea to get this out of the way here today. Very first game, I mean, just send it, right? Like you get the chance to set the precedent, and also, like you were touching on, you get the chance to be like, okay, nobody wants to even try and test us on this map, so now we get to go back with all the good ideas we had and kind of make those great, So we're really going to be exciting to see what the future has to hold here for DZ, but let's not count Oxygen out of this just yet. We have switched sides here, and like we said, this is the very first map of Nighthaven, so we don't know how this is going to go. Oxygen could come out the gates here swinging.
Operators like Ying and Dokkaebi on the board as well. Easily can imagine Oxygen mounting a fierce and ferocious comeback on the attack. We'll definitely look to those early and mid rounds, the early especially, to see if Oxygen can replicate some of the success DZ have, but also just look at round 7 to see if Oxygen are going to win these rounds. How will they do it, and will it match DarkZero in its intensity and its consistency? Still plenty of tools brought by DZ. No Solus, oddly enough, which I very confidently predicted they would bring consistently, but at least in round 7, they've decided not to do that. But still plenty of C4s and plenty of ability to deal with that verticality, not only with any shotguns or guns to look up through vertical angles, but 4 C4s on the defense, man, that is insane. The Yaga just spots someone playing on the opposite side of the cargo stairs, will put a few bullets into Rice, but not, unfortunately, come away with the kill.
Oh, it's a lot closer than you first assumed it would be. A little closer comfort for Rice there as he gets tagged in the shoulder, I do believe. And that's going to be full mid-floor control for Oxygen. Obviously, top floor by proxy as they've more than likely cleared that. It's going to be a nitro cell going off and a little damage getting thrown out by Pamba or NJR. Don't exactly know who. Some bullets to go wide as well as Proxy. That damage previously. Don't call out 2. And only 45 seconds remaining now as Oxygen are going to do their damnedest to try and break up a lot of the flooring here inside of storage.
They've also tried to clear out as much of the map as they can, but given how big Nighthaven is, that cost them a lot of time. Only 30 seconds and no conversion or real presence down on the bottom floor. Right as I say that, somebody does drop down into Animus, but he's just as quickly dead as he entered inside a basement in the first place. Newers picks up the first kill for OXG on those vertical holes, but they're running out of time to equalize. Very rusty spray from Foxay, but a 3v3 will get the job done. Yaga will get the bomb down successfully. That much is undisputed, but Gavini right around the corner for the retake won't capitalize in time. Yaga reaches a critical position. He can watch the diffuser through those feet holes in the soft wall outside of Animus. Newers also has control of the vertical angles up top as well. It might have been messy, it might have been late, but OXG have seemingly concocted a winning formula. This retake on the top floor, even if it's successful, there are still too many angles for DarkZero to deal with. Some outside, some on top. Foxay might fall, but there's barely enough time to even get back to the bottom floor, let alone defuse that bomb. Might be 3 seconds technically for you to get that defuse, but at this point, no. OXG will get their first attack confidently in the post plant.
What a grueling battle that was for Oxygen. And the worst part is, Lynx, they still have the war. There's a lot of this game left if they want to try and push their limits here. And obviously with Oxygen, that's exactly what they're looking to do. I want to try and see if they can potentially take this in regulation. They still have a chance. just take perfection here on the defensive side, or rather the offensive side for them now. As that first offense, like you touched on, not exactly the cleanest thing, but it got the job done. And that's really what they were looking for. They were just looking to build a launching pad, a stepping stone to work off of to try and get themselves deeper into this map.
Certainly an excellent start. If they're going to be slow, sure, I might wring my hands a little bit when we're at a minute 30, minute left. But if they're going to be as action-packed and clean as that post plant from OXG, I won't really complain if we end up having a close game on Nighthaven Labs.
Yo, can we talk about the positioning from Foxay there on the billiards table? Because that was disgusting, right?
The positioning? You mean just like sitting prone, so the team, so DarkZero, the retakers, can't really get an angle on him and picking up not just one.
Can't even see him.
Damaging the second. Can't even see him. I thought it was
he just crawls around the table too. That was the best part for me. He just like kills the first guy. He's like, I'm just gonna snail my way on over here.
And also, does he have a 2-0 KD like he did yesterday at some points? No, but he's 7-7. He's averaging a kill every round and a death at least. But if he still have an impact on average every round, Foxay certainly matching his performance yesterday.
I'd take those odds. You take those odds?
I'd take those odds.
That's what I'm saying. Well, for Oxygen, I'm going to keep dealing with them. Now the roll of the dice here for round 8 is look at the breaches open on the delivery end of things here towards the south side. A little work towards IT as well. I do believe that's going to be a secondary hard breach out of our Buck Newers. Line towards that accordingly. Gonna drone in here for Jen and start clearing out this top floor. Looks like Oxygen wants to go about things in a similar fashion. Not the exact same way, but a similar fashion to what they did the last time. Just double check things on this top floor. Make sure that DarkZero isn't overextending themselves on this roam. It doesn't really look like they are, but it does look like they are trying to affect the info game of Oxygen. You can really see that coming to a head with Mute and Mozzie working their way into this lineup.
That same clear does provoke the same worry, though, which is, okay, you're clearing out the entirety of the top floor. You should be able to get vertical play by about a minute 15 a minute, but that still leaves very small amount of time to get the bomb down and begin a post plant.
Is somebody in pantry? Somebody's on this floor. There's a blue man. There he is.
Mr.
Canadian. Yeah, of course it is, right? the criminal. He's 1 in 7. The smooth criminal.
There's literally a Mozzie and a Valk on board, and Canadian as Mute is solo roaming at Pantry. I love him. I love him so much for that.
I respect it so much because roaming with a 3 armor has to be the hardest thing ever. You know what I mean? You're so loud whenever you step. It's like the stampede is coming whenever Canadian moves.
Well, we'll just have to see if any of those shots with that shotgun can land. There's 50 seconds left. He's in a good spot for a retake. He's read, and likely the rest of DZ have read how slow that take last round from OXG was, and seeing it similar. An errant roamer coming in from Pantry.
Oh, come on,
might
Troy.
just throw a spanner in the works. Foxay watching, but the DZ site players are falling. Bomb goes down as well. There's no time and nobody for Canadian to flank even. OXG are all down below inside of the bomb site. Nobody is giving Canadian the engagement he's looking for. As teammates slowly drop one by one, he'll finally get his first kill, but the damage is already done for DarkZero. Bomb down, Panbazoo the only one down below. Canadian a nice trade, and the only kills for DZ. But this is likely OXG's second attack at this point, and basically transpiring the exact same way.
So unfortunate there for Canadian. Not the worst timing on, the flank. It would have been a little bit better if it was a little faster, right? A little right before the plan if you could. But, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. At least he's able to stay alive and get something done. But the unfortunate moment there is swinging directly into all the verticality and nobody's home. Not really able to get that big bang that he was looking for on that roam. And that was really the final nail in the coffin for DarkZero. They already had so much damage dealt to their site setup that it was really up to Canadian to try and pull them back across the line so that their lone defender downstairs could potentially have a chance, get some distraction detail going on that mid floor, but nothing really coming to fruition there for them.
Now, 2 times in a row, DarkZero have tried out the basement bomb site, lost it, and wow, what do you know?
It would be them, wouldn't it?
This is always the benefit of the new map. You and I, we can make our predictions, kind of call our shots, but doesn't always mean the teams
10
will
seconds to insertion.
agree with our thinking. We've gone to Kitchen and Cafe, which I still am fairly
seconds to
confident
insertion.
isn't a very favorable bomb site by a lot of team standards. But again, it is new, and there
Attackers are
are
moving
ways
out
to
to
make it
locate a
work.
bomb and
One
defuse
thing
it.
you will notice, by the
Defender
way,
has
if
been
you
discovered.
haven't really seen Nighthaven, you can actually get this hatch for free as a defender every single time, no matter where the attackers spawn. There is no way for them to get into a position and shoot you before reinforcing that.
Trust us, we checked.
We
We
did.
didn't check. We trusted other people.
Well,
I'm lying.
I did, but like 6 months ago. Oh, look at this run out. Look at this prep, Sam.
Man. And it's Canadian on Pulse as well. What else would you expect here? This is happy Siege. I'm in my happy place right now. Moisturized, in my lane, thriving.
See, I'm
EMP down.
sitting there, me being the new kid, I'm like, oh, you should be playing Souls.
Come on, new operator. But the beauty of Pulse is that you always get to see the peeps, right?
That's true.
Always.
There are unique benefits to him.
And Nitro Cell. I mean, well, Solus has Nitro actually now too, as well as Impact and Nitro, and there was Impact and Bulletproof.
I think it's Impact BP. Either way, Impact is definitely the star of the show for me on Solus, destroying Claymores when you run out. Speaking of
Definitely
which,
feel that.
destroying some Selma charges on the top
Bomb
floor.
located
We
by
saw
attackers.
earlier, unfortunately, no terrace breach created, just an angle, but nothing you can vault through or hop through. Ooh, Newer's glad he hopped up on that table.
Oh,
Ooh,
God!
very glad he found an angle on a Canadian. He'll put the heartbeat scanner and sprint all the way into pantry to try to escape the angle created by the Buck. This is part of the reason, by the way, why Kitchen can sometimes be a difficult bomb site to defend, because the attack can just walk in the lobby, this area right now, set up a talent shield and open these breaches and basically deny a large part of Kitchen, Lounge, a lot of these areas. And now Oaksy will have that angle, but not the opening pick.
Fish is going to go down. I believe he still had a phone call as well, so a little unlucky for Oxygen there, but DarkZero finally with a leg up, something they've been searching for throughout these last 3 rounds, and they've finally gotten it here in round 9. Fox 8 looking for the trade on the top floor. Nobody willing to give it to him. It's going to force Yaga to try and reposition, try and set this cross up. It's a little bit stronger for them, a little bit closer to the breach for himself inside of the cafeteria area. Vini, in stalwart at the back of server, holding in through connector. Knows he has a couple over in meeting. And is Foxy still holding on to the hallway? Canadian's going to go down, so will Pan, but he's got to act now. Gavini's going to rotate in behind. Nobody's covering the hallway. He'll be able to get the buck. He's going to flirt with it. Gonna stick up on the rotation here, the top of lobby. Foxy does have the cross. Has one coming up the stairs as well. He's gonna cross in. They've got the mark, and it's actually going to go the way of the defense. It's all up to Yogg now. They'll be able to swing in and at least claim Gav, get it down to the 1 versus 2 with 20 seconds remaining.
There are 2 isolated 1v1s, but at this point,
15
Yogg
seconds
might
left.
not have the time to get these kills. He'll drop down into Lounge. Does spot one. All right, maybe you get 1 kill here. Ooh, sees the other. Knows where both of them are, but he's run out of time to get 1, let alone 2. DarkZero get match point.
DarkZero elongating things around the map, throwing different little looks about things, especially with that rotation coming in on the top floor from Gav. The curveball that was needed to throw off the hitter there from Oxygen. Able to take down the buck and at least make the waters murky enough to where Foxy didn't know exactly what the next step was going to be for OXG, especially on such low time with Dream losing this engagement here. Things got so messy for them. I especially love the fact that Rice was still in the area as well to assist. It seemed like utter calamity, but DarkZero knew exactly what was going on.
Attackers have discovered the location of a
I
bomb.
got that defense on Kitchen and Cafe as well, which leaves open the top floor bomb site, storage, and control as well.
We're able to defend downstairs, but they get the kitchen side, huh?
I mean, hey, even that one's open too if they want to go, maybe run that one back, bring some adjustments, but going to a site twice and losing it, probably best to just try your hand at some
10
of the
seconds
other
left
ones and
before
retool
insertion.
that later on down the line, especially with a 3-round buffer right now that OXG have
seconds
shown
to
they
go.
have the capability of closing step by step. Best to just, you know,
Attackers are
try some of the
moving
other
to
ones.
defuse
Don't
a
go to
bomb.
basement. We will have the storage bomb site, and that does mean we will have an extension on this top floor, and also Canadian running that Solus that we talked about at the beginning of the game that DZ loves so much, and that teams will often ban specifically against DarkZero just to make sure they don't have that tool in their arsenal.
G is going to continue to be one of those banned ops when it comes to it. I mean, the key thing is like, do you want to deal with her, Fenrir, or Azami? You know, just really pick your poison at that point. Exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
We're so cute.
Are we in?
Same.
Oh, finish each other's sandwiches.
Sentences?
No.
Right, this is a Tropic Thunder reference, by the way.
Anyways, so back to business as we were discussing, Linksifer. EMP's down, exothermic out. They're gonna breach IT as we would suspect. But as for everything else, yeah, I really feel when it comes to the big three, we'll call them on defense for now. Solus is the one that I despise the most, just because why should you be able to shoot my drone at any moment in time when I have it on, man? That's just like, that's crazy to me. But
Well, hold
either
up.
way,
Wait a minute.
Oxygen plant. Nobody's home. Nobody's downstairs. Anybody, somebody, kill
Are you-
Fox. There we
are you
go,
ki-
Pamba.
are you ki-
My
are-
Lord
hello?
and Savior. Oh my, I'm praying to Pambazoo right now. Canadian's gonna be able to pick up Yaga too. The case is down inside of storage. They gotta get some kills on the top floor or something.
Sam, who was watching Fox?
Brother, if I knew that,
Attackers recovered
I'd
the
go
diffuser.
fucking, I'd go freaking sign up for the lottery.
Oh, no, we should let
That
Jesus
was
take the
crazy.
wheel
That
at the
was just
exact wrong
like-
time.
Yeah, they sent that at the,
Attackers are
and then Newer's get,
activating
what is happening right now, guys? What is, my
okay.
mind
Attackers
is
need to
melting.
protect the diffuser.
What
Position
is
compromised.
going on? Oh my God, what is happening? What is happening right now? DarkZero at least have a chance. They've impacted somebody through the floor links. There's two still up. Canadian's gonna start the defuse here, but they have verticality. Are they gonna see him through this? He still hasn't found him. No! Canadian's gonna...
The bomb diffuser. Bomb diffusing attempt failed. Defenders win.
I mean, that's it, folks. I'm throwing a
don't
break.
know.
We'll see you after this.
Oh, what just happened? What did I just witness with my eyes? Am I awake right now? Is this
I don't-
real life?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Whoa.
Sam and I are done. We'll see you next game.